Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside TK Tommy Chrysan. Go ahead and like and share this video as we're doing right now. We've got a lot to get to today on Sports Shorts Daily. Of course, the topic of around the country the last 24 hours, will Drew Brees actually really come back? That's a conversation that we'll have. Also, LSU baseball. Terrible weekend. For the first time ever, this series has been played since 1906. They get swept at home by Ole Miss. What does it mean for Ole Miss? What does it mean for LSU? Good morning, Kirk. We'll get into that. Also, LSU softball on the road for the first time in a regional in quite a while. They'll be headed to Arizona State, to Tempe, the suburb of Phoenix, to take on Arizona State, San Diego State, and Cal State Fullerton. Jarvis Landry makes it official. He is a New Orleans Saint. A lot of folks excited about that in Baton Rouge, all around the state. And the NBA semifinals are set, and it's a shocker. I mean, both road teams won Game 7. Celtics won in Milwaukee. The Phoenix Suns lost at home to the Dallas Mavericks. Both home teams got blown out in this game. Which tells me that once the players realize they're losing and the season's over, they don't give a shit anymore. And they just basically mailed it in down the stretch. But I'm excited about that. I've got a ticket, Tommy, a $20 ticket for the Mavs will pay me, I think, $7.90 if they win it all. So I'm still alive. Also, so you got the Heat taking on the Celtics in the East. And you got the Mavs taking on the Golden State Warriors in the West. I like all those teams, so I'm excited for the finals. Also, something happened in Major League Baseball that hasn't happened since 2008. TK will tell you about it. And also how that story ties into something that happened to me when I was a teenager. We'll tell you about that. Let's bring in LSU baseball first, Tommy. The Tigers at home this weekend against Ole Miss. Ole Miss came in 10-14. LSU came in 14-10. Two teams headed in different directions. LSU was worried about winning enough to get a regional, to guarantee a regional. Ole Miss trying to win enough just to get into the NCAA tournament and possibly keep Mike Bianco's job. After the weekend's over with, what's your take?
Well, weekend, Ole Miss was definitely the better team all three games. They hit the ball, they pitched, they played defense. I mean, all of that put together, I mean, they were definitely the better team. And, they had a lot of reasons to play, and they did it. LSU just didn't get it going. The bats weren't around. And the pitching staff, the bullpen, who had been good the last 3-4 weeks or so, wasn't able to get it done. So, it just was a bad weekend for LSU baseball. And the crowd very thin on Sunday, as you might expect. The rain delay Friday, and then the 2 games Saturday, resumption of a game, then another game. And, man, it just was a bad weekend for LSU baseball. They're still going to be in the postseason. But now, I mean, they got to go to Vanderbilt. Got Northwestern State tomorrow night. Last home game, probably, of the year. I'll be out at the box for that one. Then they go to Vandy, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Vanderbilt, number 3 or 2 in the RPI. So if LSU could find a way to win all 3 in Vanderbilt, maybe Baton Rouge could be a regional site. But anything less than a sweep at Vandy, and you got to believe LSU's going to find themselves on the road for a regional.
That's a shocker because going into the weekend, Tommy, I really thought for sure LSU was going to win 2 out of 3. I didn't think they were going to sweep, but I thought they'd win 2 out of 3. And Jay Johnson felt like 16 wins. They were on the bubble for hosting a regional. 17, they definitely were going to host a regional. And I thought they could go to Nashville and get 1. But now they got to go to Nashville and sweep, especially based off of everything that's going on around the league with other teams getting hot, other teams ahead of LSU in the standings, A&M and Auburn ahead of LSU in the standings, along with Arkansas. That's just in the in the West, and on the other side, right, you've got teams that are ahead of LSU. So. And, how many regional sites is the SEC going to get? The SEC as a whole is actually down a little bit this year compared to years past. Not at the top with the Tennessees and Arkansas, but down a little bit. Vanderbilt's RPI is still super strong with their schedule and whatnot, even though they don't have as many wins as LSU. But this is a bad matchup for LSU this weekend on the road, the way they run on that turf. They're super fast. LSU doesn't handle runners very well. I'm just surprised teams don't run more against them, to be honest with you. So I don't expect LSU to go sweep Vandy. I think it would be epic if they could win 2 out of 3, quite honestly, particularly the way right now they're going. But what do you think that, and with no Jacob Berry, Tommy, I mean, they showed him in the dugout. We did the game yesterday on TV. We showed him in the dugout. He has his middle finger on his right hand. It's basically from about the second knuckle up is kind of protected and wrapped and in a brace and all that. It doesn't look that bad, but it's on his throwing hand, so he's not going to be able to play defense. 2, they say he can swing right-handed, but he's much better left-handed. So I just don't know. I mean, right now is a bad timing for all of this for LSU. And, oh, by the way, Dugas slammed into the wall, had to come out of the game yesterday in the first inning.
Yeah, the whole Barry thing, I don't know that we're going to see him. Certainly, I would think not against Northwestern State tomorrow night. And then, who knows with Vanderbilt. It's up to the doctors. It's up to Jacob Berry. It's up to the coaches. I'm going to think that we won't see him. I mean, this guy's got a lot in front of him in professional baseball, and there's no reason furthering the injury or doing more damage or anything like that. He doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. Everybody knows what he's capable of. So the main priority, I think, has to be to heal up. I'm like you. If they get 2 out of 3 from Vandy, they need to do cartwheels all the way back from Nashville. That would be huge at that time of the year. But with the pitching staff and, the bats, as Kirk pointed out, 20 hits and 100 at-bats this weekend, that's not going to work. It's not going to work in any league, much less the SEC.
Defense continued to let them down. Some of their best hitters are slumping a little bit, albeit, Cade Doty hit a ball as hard as anybody in the world can hit a ball just right at a fielder. Those things happen. But, you're seeing some slides by Joe Bear. His batting average is under 250 right now. Doty's batting average is under 300. You don't have Barry in the lineup. They can pitch around Cruz now without those guys doing well or without Barry in there. Walk Cruz, make them hit, hard stuff. But defensively, the catching woes, the pass balls, the lack of blocking balls is going to show up and has started to show up, and it's going to show up even more this weekend over in Nashville. That said, I don't think anybody wants to see LSU in their regional. They're not going to be hosting a regional, Tommy. There's no way they're not going to go sweep Vanderbilt this weekend. But they still are a dangerous team, just like when they went to Oregon State last year and won that regional. Trust me, wherever they go, that team's not going to be happy.
Yeah, no, and I'm like you. It's going to be on the road, and the crowds haven't been what they normally are at LSU. That home field or that crazy wild Alex Box Stadium. Really hadn't seen that this year. Even when they got hot a couple of weeks ago and they won 5 out of 6 in league play. And then it just, it's just kind of been ho-hum a little bit. And then, thin crowd on Sunday, but you expect that when they drop 2 on Saturday. And, now this team might need to go on the road and do one of these, it's us against the world things and get out there and try to make some noise. I mean, they got a lot of good baseball players. I think, they got good coaches. It just didn't work this weekend.
Good morning, Kirk Paul. Yeah, I agree with you. Disgusting weekend. Chance Babin. I took my son to the beach this weekend and didn't see much of the baseball games. I stand by my decision. Glad I didn't waste my time. You watch on the app. Watch on the ESPN Plus app, Chance.
Yeah, so you can listen to Ronnie.
Kirk says LSU had 20 hits for 100 at bats. Ain't gonna get it done. That's correct, especially with lack of starting pitching. I mean, you have one starting pitcher in Mikael Hilliard. He didn't have a good outing this time around. You do that. I mean, he's had 4 out of 5, good outings. And that's what you can ask for. Oh, by the way, I got to believe next weekend Jacob Hasty's going to be in the lineup as a starting pitcher. He has to.
We've been saying that for 2 weeks.
Okay, let's go back to yesterday for a minute. The world lost its mind, and quite frankly, it did catch me off guard because when you're in the TV booth, the way it's set up, I'm sitting sort of to the middle right of the window. I have a monitor that's sort of to my right, and then they're right literally next to me is a giant camera and a camera guy that's sticking out the window. So in order for me to see the bullpen, the LSU bullpen, I have to literally look up and look over, make a concerted effort, to really see who's down there. It's not just a simple look, right? Because there's stuff blocking me. So I had no idea that Jacob Hasty was warming up in the bullpen. Dutton goes to the mound. I'm worried about Dutton, and all of a sudden he throws one pitch, hangs a breaking ball, double off the wall, and Hasty comes in. But I quickly realized, what Jay's trying to do here is way, 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 way overthink things. But what he thought was, I'm going to put Dutton in there. They're going to load the lineup with lefties, and then I'll bring in Hasty, and we can trick them. And so of the 9 batters in their lineup, 5 of them were left-handed because Bianco saw a righty. He loaded the lineup. Okay, great. You got an extra lefty in there, let's say. Maybe they'd have had 4 lefties if they'd have known you were going to throw a lefty. But, it's not worth burning Dutton. It's not worth burning Dutton. Quite frankly, that's it right there. That one extra lefty that they get in the lineup versus a righty is not worth giving up Dutton. If you like Hasty, just start Hasty and then have Dutton come in after him. But the idea of you burn Dutton for one trick'em, which didn't work anyway, is kind of silly to me. I think that's next level overthinking it.
Well, he's definitely overthinking, overcoaching it. I mean, Ronnie, we've talked about this before. That lefty-righty, righty-lefty thing, I think you can read too much into that at the collegiate level. Now, in Major League Baseball in September, when you try to close a game, yeah, I get it. You got to create those matchups or get somebody off the mound or get somebody out of the dugout. But, I mean, let these kids play baseball. These are college baseball players at LSU, in the SEC. They're good. Let them play baseball. And I think there's some overcoaching happening and overthinking, as you said. And, and it didn't work. I mean, I guess if it works, are we sitting here on Monday saying, well, that was a good move? I don't know. But we're sitting here on Monday criticizing it because it didn't work.
Wild, wild, wild. All right, so LSU baseball, they've got final regular season home game. You need to go out to the box. They take on Northwestern State this Tuesday night, 6:30. This is it. So get your fix for LSU baseball at home at the box until next February. By the way, they elected not to make up that game against Lamar. Don't think it's going to really make a difference, but, interesting. You need all the help you can get to host a regional. I don't think the Lamar game has anything to do with it, but it would be ironic if you get to 16 wins. That's 16 wins. You're dealing with your RPI. I don't know. LSU.
One other thing, college baseball is tip the hat to Southeastern and McNeese. They will be the host sites, the 2 host sites for the Southland Conference tournament, which will begin. So, good job by the Lions and the Cowboys to, kind of be the front runners there early going into the postseason tournament in the Southland.
Yeah, McNeese winning a regular season championship outright in the Southland Conference. Remember, they were the number 7 seed last year in the conference tournament and won it and went to an NCAA tournament. That's Justin Hill, former LSU Tiger player and assistant coach, doing a great job over in Lake Charles. And, Southeastern finishes second. They'll host a regional host site for their conference tournament. We've told you about it. Number 1 and number 2 both host 14 pod tournaments, and then the winners play the following week in a 2 out of 3. I love that format. And
I do too.
Coach Reiser, maybe one of his best coaching jobs ever. He lost 7 pitchers from the beginning of the fall till now, out for the year. You take 7 pitchers off of any team, no, they're not making the postseason, and instead they're going to host as the number 2 seed. So congratulations to Southeastern. Those games begin Thursday. They'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday's a rain day, like a 4-team regional. So you're going to have 2 games on 1 and 6 on Thursday, 1 and 6 on Friday, 1 and 6 on potentially on Saturday. So a lot of fun there.
The other thing I like about that, it kind of mirrors a regional format. So for the teams who win, they can, they kind of get that feeling of, hey, you got to win a couple of games back to back and all this, that, and the other. So good move by the Southland Conference. And again, tip of the hat to the Lions and the Cowboys.
All right, so LSU softball, we told you, on the road to Tempe. LSU baseball has a lot of work to do. They're in the conference tournament. Or are they, Tommy? I'll say this real quick. If they go to Nashville and they get swept, oh boy, hold your water. Because if you will have gotten swept against Ole Miss at home, get swept against Vandy on the road, and then you lose the Tuesday night play-in game at the SEC tournament, you will have lost 7 in a row with 14 wins. 14 wins in the SEC is about a 65 to 70% get into the tournament. But that means there's 30% that you may not get into the tournament. So if you don't want to be that team with that 30% and 7 losses in a row. So they've got to go make sure they get 1 to punch that ticket to 15 where they can then be basically 100% lock to get into the NCAA tournament. Jarvis Landry going to be a New Orleans Saint. We've talked plenty about that on Sports Shorts Radio Saturday morning from 10 to noon. Let's get to this Drew Brees topic, Tommy. How much are you buying that Drew Brees is actually considering coming back to the NFL? Not necessarily the Saints, but the NFL.
Absolutely none. Zero. Nada. Ain't going to happen. One of the reasons he stopped playing football is his arm was shot for the last couple of years. He couldn't throw the football. There's no way he's coming back to the NFL. I'd fall out of my chair if any team said, yeah, we want this Brees guy to play quarterback. They might want him to coach or something, but NBC cans him after 1 year because, let's be honest, he was terrible as a game announcer. He wanted to do games. They wanted him in the studio format, and when they did games, the ratings weren't there, and he was bad. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame lock, no doubt, Hall of Famer, but that doesn't mean you can be a good announcer. We've seen other great players in different sports fail as announcers. He failed as an announcer. Oh, well, turn the page. He's got a lot of businesses. He's got his foundation. I mean, he can't announce football games. So, but for him to come out and say he might play football, no, Drew, you're trying to divert the attention there to the fact that you didn't make it as an announcer. That's fine. Not everybody can do it. So, Ron, to answer your question, there's no way an NFL team is going to have him as a quarterback.
I can't imagine. It's a situation. I think it's also a leverage negotiation type thing, right? If the NFL networks think there's a chance he may go play, they have to give more money to Drew Brees to get him the signed, to do television. Craig Schilling, by the way, the Ruger Ron van thing that you did was unbelievable. That was hilarious on social media. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to Sports Shorts on Facebook or go follow the Baton Rouge Rougarou. It's hilarious. I was on.
That's not a real thing.
I was on Moscona's show on Friday afternoon, which I'll be doing every Friday. I'll make an appearance there till through the end of the summer promoting the Rougarou. And Terrio, when I walked in, said Ruger-Ron, and Matt thought that was hilarious. They made a big bit about it. And, of course, Craig drew up some artwork, which was incredible. Number 13 wins won't get you in this year. He's talking about the SEC record. If you're 13-17, last year LSU was 13-17. They got into the NCAA tournament. A lot of people think they probably got in because it was Paul Maneri's last year. They announced the week before the selection Sunday that he was retiring. There might have been some sympathy that pushed them over the hump. That said, LSU's gotten in with 13 wins before. That said, Craig thinks that 13 wins this year won't get you into the NCAA tournament, and he may be right. The league's a little down. There's too many teams that are up above that 13 mark. Right now, Ole Miss is sitting on 13 wins. They're at home against Texas A&M this weekend. Texas A&M playing good ball, but I do think the way Ole Miss is playing that they'll be able to at least get one at home and get over that threshold. And I think if they get the 14, they'll be in with their strength of schedule. But you're right. You're right. You got to adjust, Craig. 13 may not be it this year. Kip saying, Ronnie, T-Bob and Hester making fun of how you dressed at the new restaurant the other night. LOL. Yeah, that's funny. That is funny. Those guys were in a sport coat, and I stopped by, and I wasn't in one. And they're like, wait a minute. T-Bomb's in a sport coat, and you aren't? Give me a break. But anyway, let's see. Getting back to the Drew thing for a minute, Tommy. I hope this is a publicity stunt. It's bad enough that we know that Sean Payton is going to be coaching for somebody else next year or the year after, right? That's bad enough. But I can't take Drew. I can't take Drew coming out of retirement to play, for somebody not named New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I'd be stunned. Maybe it's a package deal. Sean Payton, coach, Drew Brees, quarterback. The guy can't throw, Ronnie. I mean, Father Time's undefeated. We saw that. We know that. Everybody knew his arm is not what it once was. And I mean, I'm sure he's still got the smarts and the ability to think some things out, but he can't do it physically. Again, I can't see how an NFL team would think he could play quarterback.
Let's talk about what happened in Major League Baseball, something that hasn't happened in a long while.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Pirates won a game by the score of 1-0. They didn't get a hit. They had 3 walks and then a fielder's choice got a run in. They win 1-0 over the Reds. So the Reds, 2 guys, they combine to throw a no-hitter and lose the game 1-0. Hadn't happened since 2008 in the Major League level, and that was one of those 4 or 5 different guys pitched things, just with 2 guys. And just one of those things you don't expect to see. Baseball, you show up at the park, you never know what's going to happen. But you win a game without getting a hit. You can count on, one hand how many times that's happened in the history of Major League Baseball.
I want to mention something about what Craig said. Rougaron, number 13 won't get you in this year. The only exception to that, Craig, is not that I think this is going to happen, but Florida, the Florida Gators are 13-14 in the league. They're 32-19 overall. If Florida were to get swept in their final weekend and they were to go 13-17, that would be an interesting decision the committee would have. They'd be 32-22, but their schedule is always super good. Their RPI is strength of schedule, and their RPI is usually high because of that. I that might be the lone exception this year for a real conversation is Florida getting into there. But so when I was 15 years old, Tommy, the Alexandria Dixie Pre-Majors All-Star team, we were taking on Rusty Rugg and West Monroe. Rusty Rugg still holds the national record for no-hitters in a career. He has 17 or 18 at Downsville High School up in North Louisiana. I love Class C school. He was a second-round draft pick left-hander by the Milwaukee Brewers in 1989. And we faced each other, and Alexandria lost 1-0. I threw a no-hitter. Rusty threw a one-hitter. And it was an errant pickoff throw by me at first, an errant pickoff throw by me at second. Actually, the guy got on, Daniel Tomlin, one of my good buddies, at second base, dropped an infield fly. Then I threw away a pick at first. I threw away a pick at second. And then the center fielder on the throwaway, with the runner going to third, got him dead to rights, airmails it into the stands. So 4 errors in the first inning gave West Monroe a 1-0 lead. They never got a hit the rest of the way, and I lost 1-0. And the interesting thing was at the ball game that day, his last name was Johnson. His first name was Ken Johnson, but he threw a no-hitter for the Colt 45s in the early 60s and lost the game. And his last name is Johnson. I have to look it up. He was at the game. He was the pitching coach for the Louisiana College Wildcats back in the day, with Billy Allgood was the head coach. And he was there. I think at that time he was like the last guy to throw a no-hitter and lose in the major leagues. Happened to be at the game when I threw a no-hitter and lost. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That's amazing. That's one of those you might not ever see that again.
Right, absolutely, and I hope to never witness that again because it was an awful feeling. NBA, a shocker yesterday, Tommy. I mean, Game 7, both teams at home lose to the Celtics, beat the Bucks on the road. Mavs go to Phoenix. Stephen A. Smith said the Mavs are going to get blown out of the gym, and both teams blew out the opponent. Both home teams got destroyed in Game 7 at home. That was a shocker.
Yeah, and the Bucks were the reigning world champions. They're done. Nobody saw that one coming. And then for Phoenix, that's an NBA record 5th time Chris Paul has had a 2-0 lead in a playoff series and ended up losing it. So that was a headline I saw quickly this morning. But the NBA is down to the Final Four. Like you said, you like all 4 teams. It's going to get wild and crazy. But 2 big shockers in Game 7 yesterday.
I'm hoping that I'm hoping the Mavs continue their Cinderella run and they can knock off the Warriors. Although I think that's going to be tough duty right there. And out of Boston to Miami, I don't care who wins. I grew up a Boston Celtics fan. Been a long time since Larry Berlegend played for the Celtics or Reggie Lewis or any of those guys. So I don't know that I care that much between Boston and Miami. I like them both. So pulling for the Mavs down the stretch. How about Wade Semino winning the state title at West Monroe, Great American Legion coach of Gonzalez back in the day? Yeah, congratulations to Wade, the father of Thomas Semino, the head coach at Baton Rouge Community College. First state title for West Monroe since 1999. Believe it or not, good baseball program as they have.
Let's point out they were down 5-0 to Dutchtown in the semifinals, came back and won. Down 6-0 to Santa Maria in the first inning in the state championship game. Ended up winning that game 9-6. So a couple of big-time comebacks against Dutchtown and Santa Maria, who are two very, very good baseball teams.
By the way, a little trivia right here, Tommy. Old Byron Painter is on the thread. He put up "You are welcome." Byron Painter was the center fielder that threw the ball in the stands when
really. All right, Byron.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, he actually was there. That's hilarious.
Right, you ought to write a book about that game.
No.
Yeah, well, we do a podcast. We just talk all about what happened in that game with all your errors and Byron throwing one in the bleachers. I mean, come on.
I tell you what, Rusty Rugg was the real deal, coach, on the left side.
Did he have the heat, or was he crafty?
Yeah, big curveball, tall, lanky guy, big curveball. He was probably 87 to 89 miles an hour when he was feeling it. And that was back when 89 from the left side was good. Now it's like, oh, you only throw 89, but back then it was gun. Very good, by the way. All right, well, tell us about Court Street Cafe, and we'll get out of here.
Court Street Cafe, breakfast, lunch, dinner, we always talk about that, but they just got 4 brand new daiquiri machines. We don't often talk about the little bars right behind me in the background here. Cozy little place. You can get you a beverage on the way home or watch a ball game or meet some friends, and just added 4 daiquiri machines. I mean, hey, the weather's hot as can be outside. Nothing like a good daiquiri when it's really, really hot. Court Street Cafe, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 6 days a week here in Port Allen, 805 Court Street. Just a couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge. You can be in the parking lot at Court Street Cafe and check out the bar area in the back of the restaurant. You got the patio and the restaurant, and you move on into the back. There's more tables and chairs, and then the little bar area. Fun, quaint little place. And again, the new daiquiri machines. Connect with Court Street Cafe on Facebook and Instagram. They're always posting the lunch specials, the dinner specials, and other things that are going on. Probably going to have some daiquiri information coming out real soon, too, at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. I want you to check it out real soon.
All right, he's Tommy. I'm Ronnie. We'll be back on Wednesday for more Sports Shorts Daily. Please like and share. And don't forget the Baton Rouge Rougarous. You see the ticker going across there. The Baton Rouge Rougarous summer season, our home opener is June 7th. Tuesday, June 7th. It's going to be a long layoff between LSU Baseball and Baton Rouge this Tuesday. That's Tuesday the 17th. And then the next college baseball game in this city at home is going to be Tuesday, June the 7th. So get your season tickets now. Only $100 for a family 4-pack. That's 4 people to every game. All 24 games, $1 a ticket. You can't beat it. Go to brrougarou.com, and also got some great swag and gear and merch on there as well. For Tommy, I'm Ronnie, and we'll see you on Wednesday for more Sports Shorts Daily presented